Hi everyone, this is Neel Raithatha, also known as the Wax Whisperer. Thank you for joining me in my latest video. We have here a patient who attended with bilateral fully occluding earwax, and I'm commencing with their left ear first, but it was their right ear, so do stay tuned, that was a bit more complicated, and the main reason for that was the consistency of the earwax in the right ear. It was a lot more clay type, glutinous. So is this ear actually, but not as much. Now, this procedure, I think I performed over a year ago. I'm going through all my archives. I've got loads of videos to upload, so I can't tell you really for sure the backstory about this particular patient, but as you can see, the ear is completely impacted. It's fully occluding, and I'm just trying to work this plug off the side walls of the ear canal. We're trying to detach it. When you've got glutinous soft wax like this, it sticks to the canal wall. So it adheres itself. So I just used some oil right from the offset. You may have noticed after performing an examination of the ear, before I even started to attempt to remove the wax, I installed some olive oil spray, medical grade. And what that does, it does several things actually. It helps to lubricate the canal walls, so there's less friction between that and the wax plug. It also changes the consistency of the wax plug. When it's glutinous and mushy, it's very hard to vacuum and it can clog up the inside of the suction tube. So it changes the consistency of the wax plug itself. And in addition, the oil helps to lubricate the inside of the suction probe. So when you are performing microsuction, you're less likely to experience blockages. So I managed to remove the more lateral wax out with suction, and then I used an ear hook here to bring this wax forward. They've got a very bendy ear canals from what I can see. I've half extracted it, so it's just a lot bigger piece than I imagined. So it's slowly coming out. I think I'm going to use a bit of Jobson horn now, an ear correct. There we are. I'm just going to glide in to the front. So we are going quite deep. I'm just going to make sure I don't make contact with the bony part of the ear canal. So I'm just trying to get in and behind the wax plug and almost leverage out. We're scooping this out slowly but surely. And is it going to come away in big piece? No, I think it broke into a smaller piece there. So it's still quite a lot there, as you can see. It's quite dark, so we know this has been there for a while. And we can see the eardrum right in the distance. There's a nice gap for me to work with the Jobson horn to get over the wax. Got to be careful though that we don't smear the wax, and I think that's why I resorted back to the suction probe there. But when you've got soft wax like this, when using the scoop, you can begin to almost spread it like butter against the canal walls, which makes it a bit more difficult to remove. I did actually remove that last bit near the entrance, but I think it just came away on the edit. So this is the patient's right ear. So again, I've just gone in straight away with the olive oil spray. And this is a lot more clay type. This is probably for me the most, I enjoy removing wax full stop, but for me this is probably the least enjoyable, although it's still enjoyable. It's more of a challenge, should I say. And sometimes with instruments, so when I mean instruments, I'm referring to dry mechanical instruments like an ear hook or Jobson horn with this type of wax. Doesn't always work, and you can sometimes make it worse because, for example, I'm using an ear hook here, and I think the wax just might be a bit too soft. Yeah, as you can see, it's just dissecting through. And as I just mentioned earlier, with a Jobson horn and ear correct, you can quite easily begin to smear this wax, spread it. I think that's going to happen here a little bit, although we're getting a little bit out. You can see I'm trying to avoid scooping it against the canal walls because I just don't want to spread it. So I put some more oil in, I'm sure, just suctioning the excess oil. Gonna try and bind this wax together because we have removed some. The oil can penetrate a bit deeper now to the next layer of the wax. And I'm just hovering over the floor of the ear canal here. See, we're near the entrance because you can see all those hairs. These hairs should only really be found on the outer third of the ear canal, the cartilaginous portion. That's where the hair follicles are located. So often if you see hair deeper in the ear, it could be that the patient when they go to the hairdressers or trimming their ear hairs are flying inside. So I would always recommend to just place some cotton wool just at the entrance of the ear. You don't need to push it in, it's just to create a seal. Or it could also mean that they're poking around in the ear and pushing the hairs further in. So it's still very difficult to suction this. And when you've got matted wax, so if you've got a few hairs, just like in that section I just attempted to remove, it makes suction even more difficult. So I'm just going around the perimeter, trying to lift this down off the canal walls. I'm pretty sure I've dosed the ear again. No, not quite yet. So there's a little gap at the top that I've revealed. Now let's see what I do. Possibly going to go in with an instrument. Yes, it's gone with a correct. I'm trying to go in and behind. Seeing that part of the ear canal gives me a bit of confidence because I can start imagining and building up the ear, the architecture of the ear. Without seeing that part of the canal wall, you're just at loggerhead slightly, that where am I in the ear? Am I close to the eardrum? Am I close to the canal wall? So that, just seeing that top part gave me the confidence to go in with the instrument because I can't see the canal wall, it's completely blind. So putting an instrument like this into the wax itself, it does pose a risk because I could quite easily touch the canal wall because it's not in sight. But just seeing that provided me with enough insight. So I've just put some more oil in there to change the consistency. And I'm kind of on the anterior inferior canal wall. So what I mean by that, anterior is the front part of the ear canal, inferior is to the bottom. To the floor of the ear canal. I'm just again trying to peel this away. Now there's a bit of a skin layer here. Quite often when you've got glutinous wax like this, it can be a lot of macerated dead skin. So they could have eczematous otitis externa. So when you've got eczema or psoriasis of the ear, it leads to increased inflammation, and increased inflammation of the skin leads to a higher turnover, and that dead skin, it can either be very dry and flaky, or it can macerate within the ear. It can become soft and wet and gooey and mushy, and it can then bind with earwax to give this consistency. So whenever we perform earwax removal, it's a question that I get asked quite a lot. My primary objective, and what the patient really wants us to do, is to help them hear better and relieve them of the symptoms. So cleaning an ear, we're not performing a car wash, for example. First and foremost, we just want to remove enough wax so the patient can hear. So quite often that's my primary objective. Sometimes if there's wax, if the ear canal is completely blocked, working from the sides of the ear canal can help remove the main blockage. So that's one approach, but often it's not the case. You can remove all the side wax first, but it's not going to affect the main plug that's causing the patient's symptoms. So of course, sometimes when we need to peel the side wax first in order to assist us to remove the main blob in the middle that's causing the symptoms, we do that. But when it's not going to impact it, I just want to clear. So even at this stage, the patient can go home today without any ear pain. The tinnitus is possible, if they had tinnitus, likely to have resolved. They can hear well. This residual amount of wax is not really going to affect their hearing because it may have a little impact, but nothing significant. So the sound can get through. So already I'm at ease now, the patient's able to hear. And now I'm going to try and mop up all the bits around the edge if they come away. If they don't, again, I'm not overly concerned. So I'm just using the fine end. And that's very difficult for me to do. I wouldn't say, I don't know if I've got OCD. I think people that know me probably say I would. So for me, like a lot of viewers, seeing a bit of wax, you think, oh, I don't want that there, but we've got to be safe. It is a very delicate and sensitive organ, and just say, for example, I take a risk and I remove some wax that I don't feel comfortable removing off the canal wall, and I bump into the canal wall. That causes the patient trauma. They move suddenly. There's some bleeding in the ear. First of all, they're not going to be happy. Second of all, I'm not going to be happy because I've caused a bit of discomfort to my patient. Thirdly, the ear can react in different ways in response to trauma. They can develop tinnitus or a bit of a sudden hearing loss with the stress levels because of that trauma they've experienced, and it negatively impacts them in the future. They definitely won't be coming back to me in future because they think, oh, last time I went there, it was very painful. And it'll give them a bad experience when they go elsewhere. So you can see we've left the rest of it. I'm not concerned by that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that video, guys. Take care, keep well, speak soon. Bye.